Good evening, everyone. Let me call our regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. Let's all stand, please. The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. I just have two additions to the agenda. I'd like to add under old business 8C, bid waiver for the M&J Bus Company. We discussed it at the last meeting. We got some feedback from Dr. Britton and I put it back on. Also, I'd like to add to new business 9C, the MDC contract extension that we were able to negotiate on Friday. Want to bring that for a vote tonight.
And Mike, could I just add one item like as 3A right under the agenda, just take
Yes. Oh, please.
minutes?
Yes, absolutely. 3A. And John would like to say something. 3A. All right. With that added, I'll have a motion to accept the agenda.
Make a motion, accept the agenda.
All right. Second by Vinnie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion passes. Thank
I
you.
realize it should have been 4A, but I'll say it.
Right.
I'll say it now.
Okay.
It occurred to me today. Yeah, today's my birthday, and my birthday will forever be the day before last year's Board of Selectmen meeting. And last year's meeting will be 1 year tomorrow. Some of the members of this board were getting ready to go in the building that night a year ago. When we were there and witnessed a tragic event, we lost one of our fellow members, Sean Manning. This is a time of year when you're with family, it's Christmas, it's the holidays, and it's supposed to be a happy time, but we also know that when there's a tragedy or somebody missing at the table, it's a difficult time. So, I just want to take this few minutes to remember Sean and to think of his family and his friends this holiday season. It's got to be tough.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, John.
Thanks.
Well said. All right. Number 5, communication correspondence.
Don't forget approve minutes.
Because I have a,
Oh, thank you. Look, I'm trying to jump ahead already. Has everyone read the minutes from December 3rd?
Yes.
Read the meeting? All right. Any changes?
yeah, I have a,
Okay.
do we need to make a motion first or can I comment?
Comment on it.
Okay, I just had a couple of things that when I reviewed them, on number 4, I had abstained, and I think Vin did too, from voting on the 11-5 minutes. So it said motion carried for all, but
Right.
Vin and I, we abstained.
Yeah.
11-5
We
minutes.
did, yes.
On item number 5, which I believe was under communications, it's just simple, but it's just the way that it reads. That a gentleman donated, it says donated a tool, versus he donated tools, I
Yes.
think were right. So just to make it clear that it was a number of
Yes.
tools. And then finally on number 15, where we talk about the artist that's going to be making a mural on
Yes.
the building next to Portland Yale House.
Yes.
The last sentence says it won't happen for another 2 years, but
Okay.
that makes it sound like the mural won't happen, whereas
Absolutely.
that changes to that building aren't gonna happen for 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
That, I'll make sure that gets added. That is correct. Yeah, the building is staying there. It's going to be sold and or repurposed in a couple of years. But in the meantime, we want to pretty it up, and one of our artists in town with a committee is willing to design something and put something up there.
The mural is going to be attached to the front of the building to make what's there look
Yeah,
nice
look nice.
until the building is
Right.
gone.
So it takes it from the way it looks now, at least looks better for the next 2 years. And we've got the funding from the folks at Brainerd Place. Dan is donating the labor and materials to do that.
But that's happening soon.
Yeah, that's happening soon. Yeah, we're actually looking at designs, and I'll bring whoever wants to be in there in a couple of weeks. Just working on that. So, but yes.
That's
So
it.
that's
That's all I
okay.
have.
If you like, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the edits provided by Andrea.
Vinny, you want to second that? Sure. Right. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Vin did, yes.
Andy,
Well, he was kind of voluntold. All right. Communications and correspondence. I have a few, but I'm going to save those for the general discussion. Nothing urgent in there. So let's go right to public comments. Anyone out there have something to say? Anything online? Okay, very good. All right, budget report, Mr. Robinson,
TR.
it's your show, sir.
Evening. Evening. Welcome all. I am the Director of Finance, Tom Robinson. So on the revenues, so far on the property tax current, budgeted around 33,553,000. Have received to date 19,086,000. So it's a pretty good start to the collections. That was a good push in the July and August period. We'll have another big push in January. Page 1, it's account number 00201, pilot, state-owned, pilot tiered. We received more or less the amount that the state had told us we were going to get. So that is a positive. Going down the page to 00312 and 00314, conveyance taxes, recording fees. There's about 60% remains to be collected. It's about right around where we should be. With some of the changes and some of the lowering of the interest rates possible for an uptick in that information, but it's at least it's sticking where it is expected to be and not falling behind. 00328 structural permits, budgeted 225. I received a date around 136,000. Only 40% remains, so that's good. We're a little bit better than expected. So that's another good positive. Page 2, there are other revenues 00354. We budgeted 20,000. We have received a date 40,490, of which 40,460 was a Kerma distribution. So that's kind of why we budget the 20,000 there. At times Kerma will distribute. There's also when they have a successful year, they will distribute back to the members. Some years they don't. So in some years it's higher, some years it's lower. So this year was a positive year as they were able to distribute back $40,000 to the town. So what I have there on the revenues. I'm going to move forward to the expenditures, authorized spending. And on page 14, page 3, I'm sorry, page 3. It's Department 14 is the town council. Right now we're still doing okay in the global budget, but there's a couple bills that have been outstanding and normally this is we do a pretty good job with staying within this budget. There's been a lot of negotiating with MDC, and that's a global item that affects the town. So that's hitting that town council line. We are also negotiating various Mike's working with the various unions to negotiate items that is just beginning. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention. The tax matter, we had working on a foreclosure on some properties, Great Hill Pond Road that have been outstanding. Hoped to get a lot of that work done in fiscal 25. Did carry over into 26. So that's where that hit came in for the 7,000. So we'll keep watching that but trying to get that resolved. It's been a long standing item that's out there. Page 5, the building department, part-time payroll, you'll see was 0. We're having expenses there. The building official retired in I believe the October timeframe. So we're having a temporary temporary official in there, and while the search for a new official goes on. So that's why you're seeing expenses in that line item. Moving forward to page 6, the highway department overtime line it's already hit the budget line. Overtime, that does storms. It also is the highway department's involvement in water main and sewer breaks. So there were a couple big water main breaks where they assisted on High Street area. That was routed around probably a global amount of around $6,000 of overtime on those factors. This is a storm and breaks and other current activity where their overtime for snow goes into the snow budget. Page 8, building maintenance. Again, overtime has been hit this year up to the 6,000 area. Various projects as well as just overtime matters that require the use of those employees. One of the other big areas, which is sometimes it hits and sometimes it doesn't, and usually it's within the budget, but this year it's been just got hit hard and fast, and that was 037, which is the 44003, which is equipment repairs. We've had some repairs to the fire hydrant, the senior center fire panel area. We had some fire company 2 heat exchanger work that had to be done, some service call matters to on a panel, some masonry improvements that had to get accomplished. There's some overhead door failures of around over about $1,000 worth, and some sprinkler repairs for another 1,800. So keep watching that. We've had to use some of the Fund 11 funds, the building maintenance funds. But you know, if there's bigger items, we've been using Fund 11. When there's you know, the smaller type items, we keep having to go to this fund, to Fund 37, the Department 37, the objects here. So Jason will continue to monitor that throughout the year. Page 11, the senior center. This is service contracts. Have 12,000 budgeted, 7,000 spent, 2,679 encumbered. There's some warranty work on a standard compressor. One of the actual items were warranted, but the actual labor was not able to when we were out of the warranty period on that. So that took a big hit. That was about $3,000. And then it's just more or less standard service contract materials that go into the remainder of that budget line and budget category. 055, which is on the next line. That's the next page, page 11. That's the van driver stipends. Still doing okay, but it's we budgeted 38,000, spent to date 19,000. It's around about 50%. You'd like to, you know, be closer to 60% remaining at this point. So that's what I got for you guys for revenues and expenses. So I wanted to come provide you that information and let you know where we stand. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Tom.
Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Yep.
If anyone has any questions on this, after you bring it home and review it some more or have some details, just, you know, either reach out to Tom or myself. Right. Right. Monthly report, Committee on Solidarity. You are up.
Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to first thank you for your continuing support of the work that we do. And a quick roll around when we have had openings, when we've needed appointments. We appreciate it. We our 2 high school representatives, I think we spent a couple times reporting on them to you. They have come through like $1 million. It's really impressive. They basically, I think you're familiar, I'm going to talk later about it, but the monthly column that we're now doing in River East, they basically wrote the November column. I just think, we kind of tossed it to them and hoped and had a backup plan for who was gonna, edit, fix, whatever. And it was done, no edits. I mean, they just did a really nice job. So kudos to them, and we're already talking with the school about making sure, just because they're graduating, we don't really want this to end, so let's make plans. And Liz and I have both maintained contacts with the teacher and the principal. And I think that we will be continuing to stay close to them and figure out the next iteration, even as the teacher tells us he's stepping away, but he may be connecting us to someone else. Our other new member, Emily Bickhart, you may remember you all welcomed her in your other site. Emily's working with people to create a solidarity website. She's also working on plans to put together a disability awareness event and is taking the lead on that. In early 26, which is like 2 weeks, you will have the opportunity to commend Liz on the fine work she's been doing since 2021 as she exits the committee. She will be submitting her resignation. She has also promised us she will continue to show up as a member of the public. I live close enough to her to really make sure that happens. So we'll continue to work on that. But we will also be presenting here a nominee, a candidate to fill behind her. And at the same time, we've had 2 alternates who have not really been involved in the committee at all. So I think we're going to be looking to replace them also. So we'll be back to you for those things. And obviously we welcome any nominees that you have. There's ugly rumors circulating that people aren't beating the door down to get on solidarity. I just don't think that's true. We just maybe haven't found them, but we know they're out there beating the door down. In early prep for our June 26th Pride event, the work group is doing an arts and crafts supply swap at the library on Saturday, January 17th from 1 to 2:30. If any of you, like me, had no idea what that was, apparently it is a thing that in January, folks like change what they've been trying to do all year. I really thought it was going to be knitting and I suck at it and I have all this yarn I need to get rid of. So now I'm thinking I'm going to paint. So whatever thing that you're going to switch to a new thing, bring your old thing, and there will be a swap going on. And people acted like they knew what that was.
What's the date on that one?
It's January 17th.
All right.
All right.
How many old things do you have, Dave?
Dave's
Everything's old.
His knitting needles.
I crochet.
In terms of ongoing activities, we have since November 2024 been running our monthly River East column. And we really thought, we're going to start calling it monthly and see if River East calls it monthly. We've actually gotten one in now after 3 weeks. So I don't know, I may keep pushing that envelope and it may be more often than monthly. They haven't edited, they haven't pushed back. It's been nice and it's been a good way to communicate and get community interest in what we're doing. 2 Solidarity Committee members have also since June of 2025, as Mike knows, organized and participated in weekly Main Street rallies in support of democracy. We anticipate those are going to go on for the foreseeable future. Thanksgiving, we had a surprisingly good turnout. People were very supportive. We will take Christmas Day off. We did a little informal vote. Our numbers range from 5 to an all-time high of 25. But we pretty much have a core group of about a dozen folks. The Voices of Portland update on the afternoon of February 21st. We're going to be planning a Black History Month event at the Senior Center. We have 2 confirmed speakers, John Mills, who's a Bloomfield historian, who was instrumental in having Prince Mortimer Street in Middletown named with a whole lot of genealogic research and uncovering the fact that this was a formerly enslaved man. And Jesse Nasta, who is also executive director of Middlesex County Historical Society. We've also extended an invitation to Anita Ford Saunders, who is head of Middlesex County NAACP. Anita has been really supportive of our work. We have been supportive of things they're doing. So she may also be involved in that event, but there will be more to follow as we get closer to January. Just to February, I'm sorry. Just as an aside, we also discovered that, and this just blows my mind. In 1946, the NAACP for Middlesex County started in Portland.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know how or why they moved over the bridge. They apparently were here for about 2 years before becoming Middlesex in Middletown. And like so many things historically, it turns out there was either a fire or a flood, I can't remember which, and the records have been lost. So trying to find the correspondence, the history, we're hoping to find more about it, but it was very interesting to learn that. And lastly, despite the noteworthy historical events we've uncovered, and the opportunities we have to create, we've created to celebrate Portland's diversity, we continue to observe and learn more about episodes in this town of frank racism, verbal mistreatment of people, for being Black, for being gay, for wearing hijabs. And there's enough that if we're getting it anecdotally, it concerns me that there's more. So we will continue to push, and, I have yet to meet, I know we have a very small Black population, but I have yet to meet a Black person in this town who has not been called to their face the N-word. Now, I know that we are living in times where lots of folks are coming out of closets and thinking all kinds of behaviors are okay, but I think we're seeing some evidence of that also in this town. So we are keeping an eye on that. I don't know that we have some kind of big plan that we're going to be fixing it, but we're certainly trying to educate it away.
Do you anticipate the voices of recording that again?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay, just so I know.
Yeah.
We didn't wanna-
I'm thinking between now and then, somebody ought to talk to you if you don't
Yeah,
know
that's
about it.
bringing it up.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know.
The other thing on the website is that who's developing that?
PJ, Jackie,
Okay,
and M, and
okay. Is that under the umbrella of the town website, or do you have a?
no,
separate
I think we're going on our own.
You're gonna set some URL, okay.
Anything else? Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
Thanks.
It does seem to be like trying times sometimes, doesn't it? I understand. All right, appointments or reappointments of boards and commissions.
I kind of agreed I'd facilitate this, so what I'm gonna try to do is go down the list by commission, and I think maybe the way to do it is just to put forward a name. Then we could get a second on that name, we'll just keep going down the list. And Bobby, whatever you have, we'll just insert them, just keep the process moving. Yep. So I'll start with Conservation Commission. We have a vacancy, a Democrat vacancy, for a full member and one for an alternate. So first, a full member, putting forward Elwin Giles.
I'll second that motion.
Jim? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes.
And for Conservation Commission as an alternate appointment, Chris Chenier.
I'll second that.
Chris who?
Chenier,
Junior.
How do you spell it?
Chenier.
Thank you. Right.
You might know him as Laurel's husband.
And someone second it?
I did.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes.
For Conservation Commission, we have a reappointment for Robert Wildenmuth for a full-time member.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes.
So John, our alternates filled on that now? Cause you put someone on?
No, we had a vacancy there before, so that was something that's been there for a while, so you're still good.
But
Chris Donahue's on there as an alternate.
that's incorrect. You have a wrong list. He got put on there, remember, accidentally when he was supposed to be on a different.
Okay.
committee. So your list that you have, but who you do,
All right, so there's an opening.
there's a term expiring,
Peter Lord.
Peter Lord as an alternate.
All right, make a motion for Peter Lord as an alternate on Conservation Commission.
I'll
I'll
second.
second it.
Right. David second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
Can I make a suggestion before we move on that whoever, whether it's John or me, one person seconds it to make it easier for her?
Yes. 'Cause
Yeah.
we keep shooting all
Instead
over the
of
place.
going down the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good
Yeah.
suggestion.
And the other suggestion is we will make sure that we give Sharon a list of names and spellings for everything.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Okay, we're good. Move on to Economic Development Commission. We have two members for appointments. Mary Dickerson.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
You want to
It's
just
gonna
call
be
the
him, I
seconds?
guess.
I'll just keep seconding them.
Yeah, that'll
Make it
make it
easy.
easier for you.
Right.
And we have Frank Winiski for a member Economic Development Commission.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
Okay, Emergency Management Advisory Board. I have three members here, and we've got Scott Cunningham.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
Raymond Sajak.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
And Donald Gouen.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
Okay. I don't believe either one of us has Ethics Commission members right
Nope.
now, so we'll deal with that another day. Housing Authority, we have one member for reappointment, Susan Malecki.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
abstention, motion passes.
On my list, making sure I don't jump in front of anybody here.
Mm.
Housing Code Board of Appeals, we have a reappointment of one member, Amanda Herzog.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
Okay.
All right, Amanda.
Inland Wetlands Commission, we have a few on here. We have a reappointment of an existing regular member, Martha Dumas.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
And we have a second appointment for an individual as a regular member who was formerly an alternate on the group, Christopher Chenier,
Seconded.
I know how to spell that.
Chenier.
He was.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
For inland wetlands, for alternate member, reappointment is Robert Wildermuth.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
For inland wetlands commission, alternate seat, Margaret Keyser.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
Okay, we have the Library Board of Directors. We have three members for, well, two for reappointment. The first reappointment is Betsy Graziano.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
Second member is Jade Richardson.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
And since she's here, I just want to say thank you to Laurel Steinhardt, who is stepping down from the library board. And after all the years, she's done a fantastic job. She will be replaced with a regular member of Ralph Sampano.
Seconded.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
For library board of directors, we have a reappointment for Donald Eiler.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
Okay, Long Range Capital, regular member Jody Grosso.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
For long range capital, we have a reappointment for full member, Peter Lord.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
Parks and Recreation, we have a reappointment of regular member and a reappointment of an alternate. The regular member is Karen Agalati.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Okay.
Opposed, abstentions, motion passes.
And a reappointment of an alternate, Mr. Kevin Backman.
Seconded.
Kevin Backman, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
For Park and Recreation, we have a reappointment of a full-time member, Chris Donahue.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion passes.
Planning and Zoning Commission, we just have one reappointment of an alternate, Thomas Bransfield.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
For Planning and Zoning, we have two reappointments. The first one is Robert Ellsworth.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion passes.
And next we have Robert Taylor.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
Senior Citizens Advisory Council, regular member, Myra Finkelstein.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
For Senior Citizens Advisory Board, we have two reappointments. The first one is Elaine Cody.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
And next we have Pamela Wilcox Gapkus.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
Water and Sewer Commission, we have two appointments to regular members. The first, well, let me say,
Yeah.
we have to recognize that a member who is stepping off of that commission is David Kuzminski, who's now sitting here with us. His term started in December of 23 and runs through December of 27. So the first member we want to put on will be fulfilling the balance of David Kuzminski's term through December 27, and that's Thomas Malecki.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
And the second member we're putting on is Mr. Ralph Zampano.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
For Water and Sewer Commission, we have two reappointments. The first one is James McCabe.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
And the next one is James Nursick.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
And then let's see, we have Youth Services Advisory Board. We have one regular member, Beth Ann Vergeen.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
For Youth Services Advisory Board, we have two renominations. The first one is Michelle Donahue.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions, motion passes.
And the second one is Ann Whalen.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
Bobby, on the water and sewer, committee, I spoke with Rick Shar at church. He says he wants to stay on the water and sewer.
He's not on it.
He said he'd like to get involved. I don't know.
There's not a spot.
Oh, okay, all right. Got it.
The last one we have here, and it's not on the list, but you can explain, the Zoning Board of Appeals. We have the reappointment of an alternate.
Right, because alternates are reappointed. Zoning Board of Appeals are elected, all the regular members are elected, but two alternates, and there are two alternate terms coming up. And so we have a reappointment of one of them.
Okay, and the reappointment is Barbara Sequenzia.
Seconded.
All those in favor? What are you saying?
No, I was just gonna say it's just strange because the sitting board is elected and the alternates are appointed. Right.
Hmm.
It's a little confusing, so, okay,
All right, all those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
That's it.
That's it? That's it. All right,
And thank you, Bobby, for helping us figure that out.
Thanks.
very, very nice.
There's two alternates, right, on that, or is it
There's
three?
two, so
It's two,
we're-
and then we pick the two. The other ones are, the alternates we pick, right?
the Board of Selectmen vote on the alternates, but the regulars were voted in the election. Yep.
Correct. Yep.
All right, also, I did pass out the meeting schedule for the various,
Oh, yeah.
because we need to pick the liaisons for the various boards, so take a look at the dates and times of the meeting schedules for the various boards and commissions. And everyone should have that as well as the openings that are on this schedule. For sake of time, take a look at those, fill those in. And what we'll do is we could select it either now or we could select it at the next meeting.
How about
What would the board like to be?
I think people should look at it, right?
compared to your?
In their
calendar?
own, compare it to your calendar and come back at the next meeting and make sure we have them all.
I
filled.
think that's a good idea.
I just have one question.
Hmm?
Your secretary's been on leave.
Yes,
Did you type this?
I did not. She did that and I copied it for a couple of weeks ago. Credit goes to where credit.
Oh,
goes.
okay,
Yeah,
just checking.
there you go.
Lie, man. It's all.
I could have. Michelle, it was you that did this. 100%. But thank you for asking.
Okay, just want to give you credit.
There you go. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. All right, next item on the agenda is the bid waiver for the M&J Bus Company. Dr. Britton, if you go up there and give a recap since the last meeting.
And if we could unmute, we have Stephanie on with us here. If you have
Oh, wonderful.
questions specifically, she's in front of her computer on our software. She can answer specific questions about the financials of this. So let me just kind of, remind everybody of where we are as of today. So we know our current contract expires June of this year, right? So end of last summer in the fall, we started our work. That work began with me, Stephanie, the board personnel committee, and attorney for Shipman and Goodwin, who is their expert in contracts across the state. And he's the guy that has the bird's eye view of all the things you need to know about renegotiating contracts. And it was very helpful to have him because there are some big changes that we have to potentially plan for. The first question that the attorney asked us and we asked ourselves is, are you satisfied with your current vendor? Right? Our current vendor is M&J Bus. M&J Bus has been our vendor for 10 years. At the end of this year, it will be 10 years. They know the routes, they have it established, they have the relationships. My feeling about M&J is, hey, there's no such thing as a perfect outfit when it comes to bus. It's a very complicated business. It was very complicated during the pandemic when we didn't have drivers, but they've been a great partner. Right? They're always responsive to our needs, always answer the phone, always take our feedback, and they do a great job. They get our kids to school safely. I've worked closely with them now for 10 years and I have confidence in them. So the short answer to that question is yes, we are enjoying the relationship with the current vendor. The other answer to that is, well, if we went out to bid, what other vendors might be out there right now? A really important timing of that discussion was when we were hearing things about potential bus strikes in neighboring communities in the fall. I'm not sure if you remember some of those discussions. Not something I ever want to have to deal with in the middle of a contract to have to deal with the threatened strike. I'm not sure how those companies do business, but I'm not sure I want to do business with them if that's how they treat their customers. So both, are we satisfied with our current vendor? The answer is yes. Are we aware of who else might be bidding on our business and are those people we want to do business with? Well, not sure, right? So the short answer to the question was, do you want to go out to bid because of your relationship with the current vendor? And if that didn't work out, open relationships with other vendors. Our initial conversations was, hey, let's consider this a good relationship and pursue the bid waiver, right? Now, that then led us into a lot of discussions where we weren't going to be comfortable coming and asking for the bid waiver without without a sense of what we would be getting in a renewed contract. So throughout the fall, we began the process of meeting with M&J, the whole personnel committee, and Christopher Tracy met several times. And what I shared with you last time is the tentative agreement. Now, I need to be completely honest with you about that. That tentative agreement, when we put it together, we asked the attorney for Goodwin, who knows contracts across the state, a very important question is that a good deal? Would we get a deal that good if we went out to bid? His response to us, and Laurel's in the room, she was in that meeting, he said to us, if you go out to bid, you will not get bids as good as what's in that tentative agreement. Now, that's his advice. We don't know. We didn't put out an RFP or an RFQ and open bids, but he's the guy that negotiates contracts for districts all over the state and understands the prevailing rates and what are in contracts. So that was really important for us to hear. Now, that said, that tentative agreement isn't what you're voting on tonight. It isn't even what the Board of Education is prepared to sign as a 5-year contract. That's just getting us to the point where we're comfortable asking you for the bid waiver. If we get that bid waiver, we still have a lot more work to do. The Personnel Committee and Christopher Tracy and M&J are going to get back into another round of negotiations that will then settle into a final contract. If at any point the Board of Ed or I aren't comfortable with what we agree to, or Christopher Tracy says to us, hey, I think you could get a better deal if you go out to bid, the Board of Ed could request that we go out to bid, right? So all we're trying to get to tonight is a place where we can then go to M&J and start to really put the fine details on not a tentative agreement, but a contract. So even what I shared with you in that tentative agreement isn't what we're agreeing to as of today. It's just getting us to a place where on behalf of the board, we're comfortable asking for the bid waiver. So let me stop there before I go on, because there were some other really important parts of this that I wanted to open the discussion on. But any question about the process we've used or how we got to the point, both in terms of developing a confidence with our current vendor and getting into the place where that tentative agreement reflects as good a deal as we think we would get, or better deal than we would get if we went out to bid.
Is M&J unionized like other bigger companies? No.
They're not. That's an important question. I'm glad you asked it.
If we approve the bid waiver, does the final contract come back to us for approval or just the Board of Ed?
Board of Ed. So the final contract would be negotiated with the Personnel Committee, with Attorney Tracy, and then it would be shared in executive session with the full board. And if the full board Board of Ed would have to take action. Okay, let me push forward a little bit. So the other really important things in there that we wanted to open the discussion about, and this is new, right? Is this bus yard issue, right? It's really important for us to continue to have that conversation, because right now the law is the Connecticut Clean Air Act that by 2030, which isn't that far away, right? The expectation is that buses have to be electrified, right? Now, do I think that law is going to be changed, or there's going to be waivers or pushed off, or maybe they'll say you don't have to have all of your fleet, you only have to have a % of your fleet changed? My guess is that it likely will. I know that the Connecticut Association of Public School Superintendents is asking it's our lobbyists, and when we go to legislative sessions, including one that I go to next week, we're going to be asking for some relief from that unfunded mandate. I know CAVE is taking a position. This is a big conversation, especially in small towns across the state, because of the tremendous expense if we had to purchase electric buses, both not us, but if M&J had to purchase electric buses, they're going to pass that cost on to us, right? And the big issue here is it's not only the electric buses, it's the ability to charge them, right? The infrastructure necessary to charge electric buses. That's what opened our conversation about a bus yard, because our concern is that M&J currently rents a bus yard from a private landowner, right? They have a landlord. While we haven't, engaged in a discussion with a private landowner, I suspect a private landowner would not be all that interested in putting in massive amounts of electricity and charging stations on their private land. That's a huge commitment. So on the advice of the town attorney, he said, Board of Ed, you really need to start a conversation with your town about identifying town-owned land that can be, supported with the electricity. It's not just the land, it's about where the land is located and does it have access to the power to put those in. That if you can find the bus yard to, create the infrastructure on the bus yard, it would be really smart to have a town-owned place to do that. So you're not relying on a private landowner to put that equipment in. That opened a lot of conversations about how much it costs to rent, what it would take, how much space we would need, the size of the lot, the logistics of it, the security on the lot. It's opened a lot of conversations, and it's something we have to look forward to, because if we're not absolved of this mandate by 2030, well, the law is the law. We have to do something. So I don't have an answer for it now, but it's really important that you're aware of this concern. And if any of you are aware of any town-owned parcels, that are about 2 to 3 acres, you could turn a bus around, we could outfit as a bus yard. The short-term benefit is that M&J would pass the savings along to us if they're no longer paying a rental. The long-term benefit would be if we're not absolved of this electrification mandate, or if it's just kicked down the road a little bit further, the capacity is there for us to be able to make that change if we're under a legal obligation to do so.
Yeah, I will tell you that we've had discussion among the board about possibilities in terms of places in town that might be conducive for that. I know we had an electric charging station review a year or two ago that Andy Bauer was able to get for us. So we have looked into it, or we've looked into it a little bit, but we'll continue to do that. But we understand there's things going on right now in town where they've solidified the electrification in town all the way over to the spa. So Eversource is kind of building up the infrastructure. They have to do additional work to get our 1 megawatt solar power plant or solar panels, that project up and running. So things are happening in town that may make that easier to do. The good news is we have a couple of years, but we'll be looking at it, I think, really closely going forward. So we understand that concern.
Great. Thank you.
With
And that's, I think it's just the awareness and that we're starting the conversation now is a good first step. Now, as for the tentative agreement, if you have any questions about, again, the tentative agreement is just to get the Board of Ed comfortable asking for the bid waiver. It's not the agreement. It's not to finalize. We still have work to do on that. And we are, even since the last time we've met, we've been having lots of conversations about this. But if you have specific questions about the tentative agreement, about what we've paid in the past, about what we have budgeted now, I'm here, and I know Stephanie's online right in our enterprise software to answer all of the questions. If you have specific questions about any of those scenarios that I laid out for you, or about what I shared with you in that tentative agreement that outlines the percent increases, the GPS, the insurance changes, the prospect of a town-owned parcel for a rent-free bus yard, or anything else in those many, many details that you have a chance to review.
Yeah.
Charles, I got one. I understand giving a 5-year contract because it gives the bus company security, but I don't see the town getting a benefit out of it when they front loaded the contract with the biggest increases in the first 2 years.
So again, that may change,
Mhm.
right? That's just where we are in the tentative agreement. We're already in conversations because Stephanie and I are working hard on the budget. Our goal is always to keep the costs reasonable, right?
Mhm.
And M&J also, we have to understand, they need to stay in business. They have to pay their drivers. They have to,
Oh, I understand
you
that,
know.
but the other increases are reasonable.
right.
Being that much in the first 2 years, to me, is not reasonable, because we're giving them the luxury of having a 5-year secured contract, but they want the money up front to carry on through the rest of the contract.
Yeah, here's what I can say, and Stephanie's on, we can talk about that specifically too, but I hear you.
Mhm.
And certainly, I know that there's a member of the personnel committee that hears you. When we do the final agreement, I suspect you will see some changes. I don't want to tip our hand, but
Well, I just don't see supporting a bid waiver if we don't know what we're waiving the rights to. Because
so
it could go into negotiation and they could get exactly what they're asking for here.
Well, look, all I can say to that is if we go out to bid,
Mhm.
we're going to pay more, even with that front-loaded percent increase. So by not approving the bid waiver and having us work with Tom to put together an RFP and put it out there,
I'm not suggesting that we do, but I'm suggesting we should have better numbers before us if you want us to vote yes on this. Because I wouldn't approve this the way it's set up. I don't have a problem with anything else in the paperwork or the other percentages. It's the first 2 years.
And honestly, I mean, some of the questions that I was asking were, I mean, believe me, I totally get the whole bid waiver thing completely. The thing is it's, when we asked the question, what is the total spend? What's the year over year increase and what's it going to be? We kept getting it all in piecemeal, and I stand by everything that I'm hearing. I stand by the assumption. I'm not going to throw numbers out there because if this ever does go out for bid, people are going to be listening to this conversation. But if it's anything like the spreadsheet that I had, it is significantly high loaded in year one and high loaded in year two. And then basically the last year and a half of this might not even exist if the whole electrified bus thing comes into play, right?
yes.
And I guess my thing is we're saying let's just go throw, put the bid waiver out there, and we don't know what we're signing up for. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
And I wish I knew, because if somebody would have put their stamp on this and said, yes, that directionally rough order of magnitude, that's about what we're looking at, then it just gets into how do we feel? Do we trust the attorney and the counsel that we're getting with regards to, do we just negotiate with M&J, or do we go to the street with a bid? Right? But we didn't get that.
Yeah. Again, I can only go back to this, and I agree with you. We want to be careful, because if we go out to bid, we don't want people to, I mean, they can always file an FOI request, and likely they will, to get what we're paying, right? But we have to, and there's another data source we're about to have, right? In my mind, I have to lean into the advice of the attorney that negotiates these across the state, right?
Understood.
And when we were in the room with him, the first thing he asked us was, are you comfortable with the service you're getting? For all the reasons I started with, our answer to that was yes, both in terms of the relationship with the vendor we've had for 10 years and what else is out there in the way those folks do business. You asked a good question too, right? So that answer was asked and answered in an affirmative. Then it was, look at how much we're paying now, look at where we are negotiating at, and what the original amounts asked for were not agreed to. Clearly, that's how you negotiate. But when we got to the point with the attorney, the board asked that critical question: is this deal we've reached tentatively better than we would get if we went out to bid? The attorney had to answer honestly and say, well, I don't know. You'd have to open the bids, but once you put it out to bid and you open the bids, you're going to have to take the low bidder. And his experience, based on negotiating these with many other towns across the state, lended him to say to the personnel committee, that's a better deal than you're going to get if you go out to bid, even with the front loaded numbers.
So the thing too is if you look at the Board of Ed budget is $25 million roughly. Okay. Take 3% of that for normal increases. Just throw a number out there. This is a significant portion of that. It's like, okay, it's just going to make, your job, our job, a lot more difficult come March and April. And I understand we are where we are, right? We got to pay our bills. We got to get kids to school, right? That's
no doubt you're seeing it the right way. Except for what we negotiate with this is the largest non-bargaining unit contract we negotiate, no doubt, right? It's not like we ask you for a bid waiver on our teachers association, right? I mean, we have agreements with people, but this one is different. This one is something that you have discretion over, that in terms of not authorizing a bid waiver, but putting it out to bid, right? I mean, if that's what we want to do, That's what we'll do. I'm just fearful that when we open those bids, if the attorney for Shipman and Goodwin, who has way more experience than I do, this is the only bus contract I negotiate. He negotiates them for DACO and First Student and M&J and every other town. You know, unless his advice is wrong, you know, likely if we opened the bids, it would be, ooh, we should have taken the other deal. Right? And that's how I feel about it. Now, again, in authorizing the bid waiver, you're not approving the tentative agreement. You're just saying, Board of Ed, go get Shipman and Goodwin attorney Christopher Tracy and y'all back in a room and nail this down. And I know, because I've worked with the Board of Ed now in negotiating every single contract, that they are very much focused on making sure we pay what we need to pay to retain good service, but also understanding that we want to bring forward budgets that are reasonable.
Yeah, I'll go after you, John.
In my years of drafting RFPs and negotiating and making selections, something you said made me a little nervous.
Okay.
Because one of the questions I asked was, what are your selection criteria and how are they weighted? Are your selection criteria weighted when it comes to a contract like this? In other words, you know, the quality of the drivers, the years of experience, or is it going to be simply based upon the low bidder gets the job?
So, and Tom can help me with this. There are likely two things we would need to put out. An RFQ, which would identify the qualifications
Yep.
of the folks and the vendors, and they would have to respond to the RFQ, and we would make sure that you have licensed drivers, you have, you know, certified vehicles, you know, the things we would put in the RFQ, people would have to respond to.
Yeah.
That would be addressed there. Once you get the RFQ, then you can put out the RFP and qualified vendors are eligible to respond to the bid. Right now, Tom can help me out with that a little bit in terms of how that works, but
So let me just back up on one thing, just to my head, I'll say it, then I'll answer that question. So the bus contract, we've had successful relationships with our previous bus company. That bus company had no longer existed. We had we kind of were with DACO at that point, went out to bid. Had very good, really very good bid with M&J. Did some extensions so far. There was a the baseline of our bid of our price was very, very strong. The baseline 10 years ago, very strong. So we're working up from what I've heard from the Board of Ed and from the groups when they look at the other surrounding towns, the bases are slightly higher as there were different vendors that they may have had. So our baseline was pretty strong. So if obviously in the past 5 to 10 years, the trend on numerous things have gone like this. So if the trend out there is to be up, that's probably why you're seeing the request early on from the vendor for an increase, because it's comparable to others. If that's what they're saying, they're out there. So the bids were strong when we went out to bid. The renewals were strong to this point, and now they're negotiating. So the RFP we had drafted, I think like the last time we had done it, we had used Shipman to help draft that RFP. There is like some waiting in there, but it's more or less it's you're getting, you know, there's like 3 players. And then, you know, there's other people, but they're usually not going to bid because they can't do it. So there's usually like these main 3 players that play in the market. And then they either want it or they don't want it. And if they don't want it, then they're going to bid high and drive up the price. So it's a challenging market to play in. We do know that we had strong contracts early. We had a strong contract when we initially bid. We had a quality renewal. And we're at this point.
So now
kinda where we're at.
our existing vendor, when you say we had a strong bid, we got a really good price
got a
for
great
that
price.
contract. And now, because everybody else, all the other vendors are up here somewhere, you're gonna be playing at that level whether you like it or not, is what you're saying.
That's not, I mean, it seems that that's what we're hearing from, the guidance from Shipman. And what the board has seen when they saw some of the reviews of of documentation they were able to obtain to see that. They could see kind of the daily rate. They could see kind of where that was staggering to where we were and where we are.
Right.
So it's, you kind of know where people are. And if this is, if this legal team, legal advisor is guiding us in this manner, there probably is a rationalization to their guidance.
I think one of the questions I've got that comes out of that is, are we dealing with a little bit of the last contract we signed with today was before some of the surge of inflation that we've seen over the last few years? And is some of this a catch-up for that? Do they feel like they've kind of fallen behind, their costs have all gone up over the last 5 years of the contract. But we had a firm price with them, so.
Well, the initial bid was very strong. I
Yeah.
believe then you did an extension, which was quite strong. And then in that time period, there was challenges. And then the market's trending upward. So, I mean, it's, if there was a heavy market, or if you had, 10 vendors that you knew were gonna play the market, it's kind of like when you have the nutrition contract. That's another challenging endeavor because there's
only so many.
you got Sodexo, you got Whitson's, Airmark, and if they come, if they bid, they bid. If they don't, they don't. And a lot of them won't bid. They come, they show up, but then time shows up, and then and that becomes a challenge as well. You know what I mean? Because even like the last time I went on the nutrition, it was not even one of the main players. Another company did bid, but it was not, a main player. We had the last time we did bid, it was competition. It was a local, but the renewal was strong. The renewal was strong. The first bid was good. The renewal was strong. And now you're at this point.
I think I was actually on the Board of Ed when we originally voted to move to.
I
MJ.
was.
Yeah.
And again, I'll just remind you, look, if you approve the bid waiver, and please, if you approve the bid waiver, the Board of Ed has more work to do. If at any point we start to feel like we can get a better deal, right? Because if Shipman is seeing, lots of districts are negotiating contracts right now. If Shipman starts to signal to us as we move from the phase of tentative into binding, Shipman starts to say, yeah, you can get a better deal, or through Casbo or other data sources, we will do that. But right now, for all of the reasons that we've kind of laid out, it's prudent to authorize us so the Board of Ed can go forward now in the month of January and do our work, right? Because we're starting to get a little later in the year, right? And if at any point, either you deny it tonight or the Board of Ed decides during these more binding phases of moving from tentative to final that we want to do a bid, roll the dice, right? That really needs to happen at the latest, I'd say February, right? Latest March, because I'll just tell you, if we adjust from our current vendor to a new vendor, that's a whole new relationship. They don't know they have to learn our routes. They have to learn our students. It's a, transportation in any town is a massive undertaking that, when you switch vendors, that's a new marriage that we would need a lot of lead time so that when those buses start running at the end of August, they know where to go.
All right. I just have a couple thoughts on this, and I understand the concerns I'm hearing from my left and right. Based on everything I've heard from you and in discussions you've had, I'm convinced you guys have made best efforts on the contract based on M&J, working with our kids. I know they gave us a great deal before they pretty much bought the business. And I understand that. In looking at some of the contracts that the town has signed on for whether it's unions or others, it's not uncommon to have it be front loaded for various reasons. I know it doesn't have to be. I hope you guys negotiate a good contract, but I feel comfortable allowing this bid waiver to give you the chance to negotiate, given that there's so few people out there and given that you have to trust your counsel as we trust our counsel when they, I mean, it's not, we don't trust it blindly. We talk among ourselves. We want to make sure. But I have to believe that you're doing the best interest of the town, the entire board. You guys are doing the best you can. You understand our concerns, I think loud and clear. I did make one mistake on this on the school contract extension. I included a copy of the pricing for the preferred contract before. So I don't know if I need to make a change on that one. I just put that as part of this as well. So that's a little different since the last time I spoke to you. Jim, can you show 'em?
I'm not sure which one it is.
Oh, look, is this right here? The
Is it that
resolution.
one right there?
Yeah, the resolution itself. So I added that as a sample of the one, and I'm gonna remove that from here because you're still negotiating.
Yeah, I would definitely.
Hundred
take that.
percent. Yeah. So that's different than last time, but this was the one that seemed preferred before, so.
Right, yeah, we don't want to tip our
So
too much in case we go out to bid. Right?
So before I asked for the votes on this stuff, we'll remove that. But I feel comfortable with that. But I would ask, once you guys have negotiated, please let us know what you're doing and how you're doing that. I understand Bobby's point of view completely. I mean, if we can not front load it, that saves us some money. We're coming up to budget season, so every dollar is going to make a difference. We have a big school project that's also going to involve dollars for the town, so money is going to be a huge deal for the next 6 months for all of us here. So we need to make sure we're watching every dollar carefully. So if you could do that, I would feel comfortable with that. But
I
know we've got
promise, yeah.
two that haven't spoken. I think.
Would be worse than that number?
Anything would only go south.
You hope.
We hope.
Mhm.
I'm confident though.
I think that's I mean, because I think the challenge, right, is the bid waiver is probably the right way to go. Because I don't necessarily, from all the factors you're citing, if the experts are saying we probably would do worse. And I do remember the initial contract when we did this, it was very attractive. It was very helpful when we did it. I think the concern is the fact that it is so front loaded. That's the part that I don't like, because that percentage increase then carries across all 5 years.
Agreed.
And that's, I don't think any of us have a problem with the bid waiver.
Right, it's
It's-
the front loading.
By making this scale,
Can I just?
they
point out-
should have made it more appealing to the town
Can-
to
can-
ask for the waiver.
So there's just two things in here, and this might, again, I just want to be careful because I don't want to explain negotiating strategy too much, because we are on
People are
tapes
listening.
here, right? But part of what, if you looked at the scenarios, when we were negotiating this, we were under the impression that there was a really strong chance that there was a parcel of land in town for a bus yard. That's what we had in mind when we were negotiating this. And if you looked at the scenario where the bus yard was there, in year one, it was the lowest percent increase. But
But that's one thing that shouldn't even be factored in, because every year in the past, they've paid their rent. So
right,
them renting a bus yard has nothing to do with this.
but
It shouldn't.
but it was a topic of a lot of discussion, right? Now that factor changed, right? Because of different reasons, right? It was all preliminary. It was part of a lot of tentative discussions that were being had. And then in the second year, the reason you saw the larger percent increase is, again, the hope that would be the year you would see the overall dollar amount that we'd be paying for buses go down, even with the percent increase, because if we consolidate, we won't need as many big buses. Part of the reason we're going to be having a lot of conversations like that, right? Part of the reason that the Board of Ed budget is where it is in terms of all of our bargaining units and in terms of all of our supplies and electricity and overhead and transportation is that we're running 5 schools. If we reduce, we won't need as many large buses because if especially moving the sixth grade to the middle school, we will have the ability to reduce a bus, which will drive down the total dollar amount that we're spending. Now, what are the assumptions that were being built into those initial conversations, again, in a tentative way? One, when we were having those discussions, there was a prospect of a bus yard in town that didn't work out. And two, there is the ongoing hope of a positive outcome this spring where we consolidate. And in that year, we could still have the percent increase, but reduce the number of buses we need to move our kids because we don't have to have them going to as many places. Now, again, any of these factors are going to change. You know, we may not ever have a bus yard. You know, they may or may not change the electrification mandate. We may or may not prevail in a bonding referendum in the spring. But that's kind of like what you see in that tentative agreement reflect a lot of these very in-depth conversations and trying to look out into the future and figure out what we need to be able to do with unknowns like, are they going to change the electrification mandate? Are we going to be successful this time at a bonding referendum? Is there a bus yard we could use? Oh, there's a lot of ifs, right? There's a lot of what could happen, imagine a world in which, right? But again, as we start to dial in, right, if we get the bid waivers tonight, please, those conversations are going to continue in tandem with our budget development for next year and in tandem with some really important conversations that we're going to have soon about the potential benefits of a process that might fix these schools
Can
up.
I say something? Can I say something real quick?
Of course.
Okay. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying about how, you know, our usage is going to go down, but that's fine for planning future budgets. But for a negotiation, the price is going up. I mean, right? It is. So it's like saying, you know, the price of groceries is going up, but I'm going to buy less food. So really, I'm saving money. No, you're not. You know, you do need to know that for future budget year planning, but if the price is still going up, I mean, we just got to be mindful of it when we get into a negotiation.
Yeah.
The only issue that I had, honestly, and I'm just being honest, is we had asked for this waterfall and we didn't get it. But I totally understand. This is what you do for a living. This is what the Board of Ed does. You're going to go out there, you're going to try to get our best bid, and the experts are recommending this. I get it.
Yeah.
I just had to say that.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm just kind of setting the stage for 4 months from now when we start doing our budget workshops.
And I can promise you this. I hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
And we're good when we go into these negotiations. I promise you I will act on that feedback.
So before I call for the vote, anything that either of you want to say before we go?
Not necessarily. I would just tend to echo your sentiments and what you said. And I just, you know, feel, and I think I'm hearing that from others, that they're, for my comfort level, I've heard from experts, you know, we're talking about the superintendent, the attorney, the finance director, all have a comfort level with this. So that helps me. I don't have a problem.
All right. All right. Great discussion. Thank you, Charles. I appreciate that. So I'm going to first, before we read this.
I was gonna say, Mike, before we go there, I said, you know, to me, it's, again, I hope, it sounds like the Board of Ed will continue to work on negotiating and try to better balance those out so that we don't see as large of a pulse in the front. But the other reason for, I think, keeping some stability, one, it's the advice of the experts, and they know that cost landscape better than we do. It's also will be less disruptive, and we're gonna have, as we're moving forward with some of the things we're looking at, we're gonna have other things that are gonna be very disruptive, you know, as we start moving schools around and all that. So having a vendor in place that we've had a good history with is important during what could be some other turmoil we're gonna go through.
I agree. I got to tell you too, I like the fact that we're having a good discussion. Some of us agree with different things, disagree with things. This is good. We need this kind of vigorous debate. I'm sure there's people out there that are watching that agree with Bobby, agree with me, agree with you, whoever. They're hearing the discussions. And that's, we want all the voices heard. So with that, would someone like to make the reading of this?
Just this part.
Yes, just that part.
Okay. So I only have to start it.
Yeah, so right there, yes.
Okay, for the school bus contract extension, whereas the present school bus contract will expire June 30th, 2026, and whereas the Portland Board of Education and M&J Bus Company of Old Saybrook, Connecticut have had a successful partnership on providing transportation to the Portland students, and whereas M&J has provided quality and professional service to the town, and whereas M&J has offered to extend the contract for fiscal year 2026, 20 through 27 to 2030, 31. Did I say that right? Yeah, at terms favorable to the Portland Board of Education, and whereas M&J will keep to their normal bus replacement program, now therefore be it resolved that upon the request of the Board of Education and in the best interest of the town, in accordance with section 12087 of the town charter, the Board of Selectmen hereby waives the bid requirements as it pertains to the school bus transportation contract and accept the 5-year extension from 2026-2027 to 2030-2031.
Right. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
David,
Dave.
second.
David.
Any more discussion?
I'll just say, the feedback, everybody around this table has, all the information put out here is right.
Mhm.
A couple things came out. I mean, what Jim said is kind of where my head is. We hire an attorney to give us legal advice. They're foremost in this area, and we have to trust their advice. I'm not an attorney and I'm not an accountant. We know that the experiences that we had for years and years and years with Nichols Bus, the reason that we often would waive these contracts and continue with them was because they knew our town, they knew our kids knew the drivers, and it made sense. I also, you're listening to Tom, it is now clear that the deal that we got with M&J last go around was very favorable to us. And since that time, costs have gone up. And it only makes sense that M&J is going to try to recover some of that and to get back into somewhat of the same neighborhood as its other competitors. I am concerned about the front loading of that, but honestly, we're elected here to do this job. The Board of Education is similarly elected to do their job. And I think based upon all those factors, we just have to trust our superintendent and our Board of Education that they're going to try to do exactly what they feel the same way we do, and they're going to try to find a way to get there. Just my 2 cents.
Well said. That was probably 4 cents.
6 cents, I'll take it.
All right, you ready for the vote?
Mm-hmm.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
All those abstaining? One no. Yep. All right, motion passes. Thank you very much. All right, new business, fourth quarter transfers.
We're working with our auditors and the audit team. And during this time of year, we need to request fourth quarter transfers. And what it does more or less is it moves departments that are in a negative balance or requesting funds to move it to a positive balance. So majority of the funds, majority of the departments did really well to stay within their budgets this year. I'll go down the list of the ones where we're requesting for some funds. In the collector of revenue, requesting some additional funds in regular payroll. At the time, we had a change in the tax collector in fiscal 25. So for a period of time from July to like August, I think 31st, there were 2 tax collectors during the transition. So with that, we were over budget slightly in the payroll line item. So we're looking to make the global budget to the positive, moving $1,000 into regular payroll. Custodial, there was some, custodial, supplies, town building maintenance. As that fund needs around $1,000 to come back into the positive. We had some more custodial supplies were just needed last year. In the snow removal overtime, we had savings in the salt, and we did not have savings in the overtime. A lot of the storms last year fell on the weekend, fell on a Sunday, fell on a holiday. So those really can drive up quickly. Plus, snow removal overtime is one of those ones where we don't go up probably as much as we should, and over the time we kind of creep it. But it's challenging, especially when you're not going up 3 to 4% a year on that line item. If with steps and whatnot, the employees may be going up like that. So that was a $21,000. We need $21,000 to move that budget into the positive. Inland wetlands, the enforcement agent did more enforcement hours there. He's kept the rate for consistent for numerous years now, but he just had more hours. That's needs about a $400 amount. Capital Commission, that for a while there, they hadn't been taking meetings, minutes, and then last year, that came back, so probably didn't have a really good number there as if somebody actually took minutes. So that one, we needed an extra around $300 to put that back in the positive. And then, as we had talked about throughout that year, the van drivers, stipends, municipal agent, the elderly, there was a decision there by the board and the first selectman to keep giving the rides out as those rides were warranted and needed. So we need about $9,510 in that line item to make that budget to the positive. And then we're going to take that money out of the contingency line item. And that's what we're doing here. We're raising these up. That'll put everything back into the positive for all these, and we're going to take the money from the contingency line item. Thank you.
Thank you,
So tell
Tom.
me to move the resolution.
And just one note to that, with regards to the van driver stipends. One of the things, we recognized that number was gonna kind of go past the budgeted number. I brought in the River Valley Transit here to try to get them to also pick up more rides. We pay for that service. That was part of what we're trying to do as a town, is to get some of those rides diverted to a service we're already paying for. So we're already working on this thing. The number of rides that have been taken on that service has increased. So we are working to solve that problem. So we shouldn't have an issue going forward. I'm
You-
hoping.
Do we have at budget time, are we gonna see for 84,001, is there like a percentage that we put aside for contingency?
$100,000.
It's 100,000?
Yes, 100,000.
Oh, okay.
So good question.
How does the Board of Ed handle it? Do they reallocate within their own budget, or does that come to us?
Yes, they did. They already did theirs.
So they do it within their own, got it.
Go.
Just the new guy asking questions. Thank you.
Keep going. Vin. I
And
like
good
that.
questions
Good
they
questions.
are.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So who wants to?
I'll do it.
All right.
Okay, I'll move the resolution. Board of Selectmen, Town of Portland, Connecticut, December 17, 2025, fourth quarter transfers. Resolved that the Board of Selectmen hereby approves of below fiscal year 24-25 year-end general government transfers, Town of Portland fourth quarter transfers, budget transfer increases. Account number 01-011-000-11001, Collector of Revenue, regular payroll, $1,000. Transition time for change in tax collectors. Account number 01-037-000-68000, town building maintenance. Custodial supplies, $1,000, more custodial supplies needed. Account number 01-038-000-13002, snow removal, overtime, $21,000, more overtime needed to clear roads due to snow and ice. Account number 01-044-000-31011, Inland Wetlands Commission, Enforcement Officer, $400, more enforcement hours needed. Account number 01-047-000-14001, Capital Expenditures Commission, Board clerk payroll, $300, more clerk hours needed. Account number 01055000151010, municipal agent for the elderly, van driver stipends, $9,510. Moored ride request granted. Budget transfer increase total, $33,210. To come from town contingency, budget transfer account 0109500084,001.
All right, thank you. Any second?
I'll second it.
All right, Jim seconds it. Jim, yeah.
Trying to make it easy for you, Sharon.
Yeah.
You can't hear me at all?
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Fantastic. We have no refunds of excess payments, so we are on to the MDC contract, water contract extension. So just a quick recap of this, and the resolution kind of covers it. Last November, the town voted in a referendum for us to approve up to $6 million to get our own well and secure our own water supply. I came into office in January. And since that time, we've had a number of discussions with MDC regarding that. MDC it's been a lot of time and effort to get to where we are, but after a great deal of conversation with them in terms of the water, long-term, short-term, whatever we're going to do, we came to an agreement as of Friday. We also, as Tom mentioned in his presentation, we spent a significant amount of legal funds on this as well with Carrie and Joe and our legal team, making sure we did this right. But I think we've come to a really workable solution for both of us that gives us the 3 years that we need to get our well developed and hooked up to our existing system and get us water independent of MDC, not completely removed from MDC. We most likely will have a long-term relationship with them. We'll begin negotiating that over the course of the first couple months next year. But we have secured a 3-year agreement. The last 6 months of that 3 years is optional. We can, if our water, if our well's up and running by then, we don't need to do that, but I feel comfortable about this. I'm gonna turn this over to Jim. Jim was involved in the negotiations as well. He can kind of give you a quick summary as well.
Yeah, thank you. As everyone saw, right, when we were here, we sort of had two options that were presented to us. One option was to buy an additional 200,000 gallons of water, a day, which would have increased our cost, basically $381,000 a year, which would have reflected over a 19% increase to our residents. Obviously, that was a non-starter for us because of that impact. The other option that we were being presented was to reduce our safe yield, which could also then put our water at risk. The good news is that with the agreement and a lot of, I will say, hard negotiations, a lot of long discussions, we are in a much better place than those two options were. What the agreement does is it says basically there'd be no increase in our required water take in the first 6 months of 2026. In the second 6 months of 2026 and the first 6 months of 2027, so our 26-27 fiscal year, we would be need to average basically taking 25,000 gallons more per day, which would be 425,000 gallons a day versus the 400,000 that we currently take. And then for the next fiscal year, which would be June 1, 2027 to July 1, 2027 to June 30, 2028, we would increase another 12,500 gallons a day. So that would bring our total incremental from our current baseline to 37,500 gallons, 437,500 gallons a day versus the 400,000 gallons a day we buy now. All of those are the averages, the annual averages, right? So again, we may take 0 some days and we'll have to take more to account for that. The optional 6 months, if we need an extra 6 months, what this does is this gives us 2.5 years to get the new water source online. If we feel like we are gonna be ready, we basically have everything in place and we know we're gonna be ready to bring the well online for June 30th, 2028. As long as we can certify that to MDC by December 31st, 2027, we do not need to continue the contract for an additional 6 months. We don't have to continue past with this contract past June, July, from July 1 till the end of the year of 2028, right? We wouldn't need that. If we do need that extra 6 months, their ask would be that we then have to basically agree to buy an average of an additional, basically 12,500 gallons of water for that 6-month period. I think our hope has been we will get this done in 2 years. I think it's probably very good for us to have 30 months to give us some grace. But I think what Mike and we've talked about, we've talked about this with Jason and Dave, and is that we need to have just an absolute focus on getting this well online. There just can't be any time. We need to make sure that we're staying on top of keeping this moving. The only amendment that I mentioned to Mike when we go to approve this, or as we consider it and discuss it, but the only recommendation I have is if you take a look at the last whereas clause, it says from the second line, right? July 1 to June 30th, 2027, minimum take or pay increase to 425,000 gallons per day.
On average.
To an average of 425,000 gallons a day.
Mhm.
Same thing for the next couple of lines, right? To an average of 437,500 or to an average of 450,000. For those, and that average is for those specific periods. Okay.
I will add to what Jim said. The reason I think this is a win-win deal, little history, we've had 30 years with MDC. We've had these same numbers since we began, 400 minimum take or pay. And we've been pretty stable. So as we've added residents to the town over 30 years, we've gotten more energy or water efficient as well. So it stayed pretty flat. With the growth we have in town right now, we have a good possibility that that additional water that we're paying for, that we've agreed to, we should be covered with some of the new businesses. So we're not paying any more for the water. We're just agreeing to buy a little more water each of the years. We should hopefully have enough customers to use that water. So I have a pretty significant level of confidence that that should happen, given we've plugged in some numbers. But I think that's what makes it a win-win. NDC gets more dollars out of Portland, but we also have more water customers and hopefully more usage to cover that. So we thought it was a fair deal. They wanted a little bit more, we wanted a little bit less, and we kind of came to here. So.
Do we have any numbers for what the apartment building that's online, what they've been using?
So we don't, but we have not yet. We haven't done it formally, but the average use of typically in Connecticut is about 75 gallons a day per person. We guesstimated, we lowered it down to 60 gallons per day usage on average. We guesstimated 2 people per apartment. Some will be 3, some maybe 1 or whatever. So every 100 units over at Brainerd Place, it's 1,200 gallons a day times.
But I mean, have we sent them a water bill yet? That's my question.
I have not seen the water bill yet, but I haven't asked for one yet though. So as the
Comes
have you
out
seen the
quarterly,
numbers
they
at
get a
all?
quarterly bill.
Yeah, and I haven't seen a bill
haven't
from them yet.
I'll ask for it.
I don't think that they've had early enough like a fill rate, other than we'd have to correlate it to the fill rate to know the per apartment.
Right. So
Do we have any idea what the estimated water usage of the spa is going to be?
we don't. We've asked them. Because they're also recycling some of the water as
That's what I
well.
was wondering, if they were
with the
required
pools
to
and
dump
all.
it or if they're recycling it.
So no, there will be significant amount of water use, but how much, they haven't been able to give me a specific number yet. But it will be in their mind significant, but the pools will be recycled as much as they can, so.
Yeah, and then there was a clause, the agreement, they actually originally presented a clause that said we could opt out as long as we wrote a letter, as long as we notified them by, again, December 31st. But they put an and to that, and what they were pushing for was that, and we have an agreement with them for a long-term contract. We collectively pushed back on that because that agreement's gonna be a bilateral agreement, and it didn't make sense. I mean, if we get locked into an extra half year of buying water that we don't need, it's not just the incremental water, it's the baseline. So you're looking at about an extra $500,000 worth of cost. There shouldn't be a financial penalty to the town. Because it may not be our fault we don't have an agreement, right? We shouldn't bear all the financial penalty for not reaching an agreement when it would require two parties to reach the agreement. So as that sits right now, I believe that the requirement is that we would start negotiations, that we would have to provide them the letter. We're agreeing to start negotiations next year, so that we're doing that earlier. And I think it's fairly generic language that both parties will work to try to reach an agreement.
Right.
But that part wouldn't necessarily be, there's not a hard line binding for that.
Right.
But for the deadlines for us to start negotiations, as well as that deadline to be able to certify to them, we don't need to continue. Those will be hard dates that we need to make sure we're respectful of.
In this area, especially a long-term connection, MDC at the end understood that we need to, we're going to be in a long-term relationship with them going forward. If something happens to the well, we need a backup at that with MDC, so they will be our backup. They're providing us several different contracts, like with Berlin and other towns that have that tertiary connection. So they'll provide that to us. They're happy to do that. I feel confident that we'll be able to come up with something that makes sense. I know what the Berlin contract is cost-wise and dollar-wise, and we could, as a town, kind of do something similar to that. So I think getting there will be easier than anticipated. But yes, but again, overall, I feel comfortable with this. I think it's a good deal for the town, and it secures our water, not only for the next 3 years as we get it up and running, but on a long-term basis. And lastly, we'll be talking with the folks at Deep this Friday morning to discuss next steps for the RFP.
Deep or DPH?
I'm sorry, DPH, excuse me. And discussing that with Sarah Ramsbottom, who kind of heads that program for us. So we'll have more details. I'll share that with everyone as we're going along. But we're on our way right now. So we've got a 3-year clock starting now, 2.5-year clock starting now. We want to get it up and running before then.
Just so everybody knows, MDC operates on a calendar year. We operate on
Just go here.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Any questions?
I think it's important to note too, that that additional 25,000 gallons, which we talked about last year, adds about $47,000 in cost over that fiscal year, right? And I'm gonna say, check my math, Vin, because you're the other math guy. Our current budget, I believe, is just shy of 2 million for our water, which means that at 47,000, call it 48 to round up, that's about a 2.4% increase. The hope is that as we are bringing the additional apartments are coming online, the additional businesses and the spa, that we're going to be able to grow that, so that we did not want to be in a position where we were pushing costs up to a point where we were going to have to we were going to have to raise people's rates.
Question next.
Yeah, we should be able to do this without raising rates. We have been running a surplus in water as we've been paying down the debt. Last year, we did not, but some of that was the transience of we were paying for some of the bills just to get the well process started before we had been able to get a vote and authorize monies to do that. So hopefully we'll be back to a baseline where we're running the way we were running prior to that, where we've got a little bit of a surplus. But I think it's important that we plan on trying to hold our rates steady, knowing that we're going to have a negative transition on costs when we bring the new well online.
Right.
This has come a long way.
What's that?
Great. Seriously, great job.
It's been a.
But December 31st, though, 2027 is going to come around real fast.
It's gonna,
Is there,
It's
I don't know if this is the place to do it, but is there any way that we can get bi-monthly someone who's the project champion on this?
I
To
will
just give us
Status
If
update.
he spends more than 4 minutes, 5 minutes talking to us, he spent too much time. Just the critical milestones, what are the key challenges,
100%.
done. He sits down, we move on.
Yep.
That'd be great.
I'll make sure. You guys will get that on a regular basis.
And and I completely agree, Ben, but I think there also needs to be some very early warning system in that process.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
you know, if
That's-
the question is asked, I want honesty and that red flag to start going up.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Right, so if it's like 4 or 5 months from now and, we look out at the, at the sports complex and the electrical wires are still on the ground and
Mhm.
there's a
Agreed.
problem.
There should be,
Ding, 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 ding is right.
Loud and proud.
it sounds to me like there are no excuses. We have a drop dead date. We gotta
Yeah.
get this done.
Correct,
Yeah, it-
yeah. Okay.
And
cool.
both of us want to get this done. So it's good. All right, who would like to read this?
Yeah.
Jim, you're
All
on.
right, Jim, you're on.
I would just suggest that when you do it with your edits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so the motion will be kind of, I'm gonna read it as amended.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I move that we adopt the resolution, Board of Selectmen, Town of Portland, Connecticut, dated December 17th, 2025, titled MDC Water Contract Extension. Whereas on January 26, 1996, the Town of Portland and MDC entered into a 30-year agreement to supply Portland with potable water with various terms, including a minimum take or pay amount of 400,000 gallons per day. Whereas, and I will say an average of 400,000 gallons
There's
per day.
another spot, yeah.
And I think at the end I will add and put that in parentheses. I'll put it in the dash, which equates to 146 million gallons per year.
The actual contract actually indicates that, but please put that on there just to make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, keep it.
Yeah.
Whereas the town of Portland currently has an active water division permit that allows MDC to provide potable water up to 1.8 million gallons a day if needed. Whereas the town of Portland and MDC, actually, I'm going to question that one, Mike. What are we referring to there? We have a 1.1 million as our safe yield, and we have a 2 million as a single day event. I'm not sure what we were trying to get at there.
Right. I don't know where the 1.8
What-
came from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the 1.8.
Should be 2 million.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you.
All right, so again, amended is 2 million gallons per day, whereas the town of Portland and MDC have enjoyed a positive relationship over the last 30 years. Whereas on November 5th, 2024, the residents of Portland overwhelmingly approved a $6 million water infrastructure referendum for a new water source with the aim of achieving water independence for the town. Since then, a new well site has been found, drilled, and all tests indicate that this well can provide all the water Portland would need. The estimated time to bring that well online and connect to our existing water system would be 2 to 3 years. And whereas our current contract is set to expire on January 26, 2026, and an extension to that contract is needed to bridge the time needed to construct and connect our new well. Whereas the town of Portland and MDC have agreed to the following 3-year extension. Bullet number, well, bullet one, the first bullet, January 1 to June 30, 2026. Contract is extended as is, no changes. July 1 to June 30, 2027. Minimum take or pay increased to an average of 425,000 gallons per day. July 1, again, this is driving me nuts. July 1, 2026.
2027.
2027.
No, the one will go the bullet above to 2026. And then this one is July 1, 2027.
So you want to spell that out
He just
too.
wants.
Yep.
The year on each one.
Right, yeah, because
it's
it's
confusing.
weird. It's July of the year before to the, June of the following year. It
Mhm.
throws it off. So I'm gonna reread the second bullet. It says July 1, 2026 to June 30, 2027. Minimum take or pay increased to an average of 425,000 gallons per day. July 1, 2027 to June 30, 2028. Minimum take or pay increased to an average of 437,500 gallons per day. Next bullet, July 1, 2028 to December 31st, 2028, minimum take or pay increased to an average of 450,000 gallons per day.
Average. Yep.
Yep. Portland can opt out of this part of the agreement if we give MDC written notice by December 31st, 2027. And then the last bullet, Portland will begin negotiation of a long-term water agreement starting no later than mid-2026. Now therefore be it resolved that Michael A. Pelton, first selectman of the town of Portland, is authorized and directed to execute this MDC water contract extension.
Right, do we have a second? Second that. All right, any other?
Bobby.
Any other further discussion,
I hope not.
comments? Nor do I. All right, ready for a vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. All right, thank you.
Thank you for all the
everyone
hard
posting on
work,
this.
gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you. Jim, thanks for all the help with this as well.
It's
We were just about at every meeting.
it's
So,
been
like a better
it's
person
been an
has to
interesting,
roll.
it's been an interesting endeavor.
I do have to say also, I mean, as much as we yell back and forth, I do want to thank Scott Jellison and the team that ultimately at the end decided that this was the best deal as well. They had a lot of discussion. I know it was a challenge for them as well. So I do want to thank them for stepping up. We've had a good relationship with them over the years. They were pretty tough negotiations. A lot of things went back and forth, but ultimately, I think they got a good deal. We got a good deal. And we came together at the end, and I'm happy about that. So I want to thank them for their work as well at their end. All right, status and committee reports. Bobby would like it to be fast if possible.
Well, I'm going to make it real quick on my end. I was not able to, unfortunately, I was not able to attend the Parks and Rec Commission meeting, so I don't have an update on that. And we pretty much already gave the water and sewer update.
And unfortunately, I'm gonna make it very quick too. I left my Board of Education notes in my other bag. So I'll give you the update at the next meeting. Sorry.
I like this trend.
Well, I have not yet been a
There you go.
Trend
liaison,
continues.
so
There you go.
I do not have an update.
There you go. I'm going to pass it to my right.
Water and sewer, we can pass on that, so.
All right.
Was that the planning and zoning? I mean, they got their questions that they were asking of Andrea and myself. What we were kind of battling with is they were asking us as individuals. For the whole planning of conservation development, but it was like, we were like, I certainly filled out the questionnaire and I sent it in, but I made it very clear. It was my opinion, just me. And we kind of had said, don't you want something from the Board of Selectmen? And they said they did not, they wanted it from individuals, which I thought was kind of unusual. Did I?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And I disagree with that person. I think that it needs, when you're talking about the Board of Selectmen, it needs to be collectively. The survey is one thing because we're also residents. We're members of this board, but we're residents. So we
Right.
do the survey as a resident, but they also had a worksheet sort of with an expectation that individual selectmen would fill out a worksheet, but we haven't even had the discussion to the point, it's a, like I said, collectively, I think we're presenting
I agree.
what this board.
Yep. So
So
the
I
survey,
think-
certainly we're doing it as citizens, but the questionnaire, I think needs to come.
What
from-
is this questionnaire for? I'm sorry,
So,
I feel like I
so
missed
Ben and I were part of the planning and zoning, meeting related to the POC, the Plan of Conservation and Development.
Okay.
And the
And
bar
we
grant.
attended it on behalf of the selectmen, but what we didn't realize until we were sitting in the seats that we were kind of on the agenda with an expectation that we were speaking for the selectmen.
Okay.
Like we were an agenda item and we sort of said, well, we're not, exactly prepared
3 minutes into
this
the meeting.
evening to, but I mean, we had a good
No, we
conversation.
were fine.
And they understood it and, and so it's gonna come up again.
Hmm.
There is going to be an expectation that there's something that comes collectively from this board.
Well, I filled out the survey as a business owner on Main Street.
Yep.
Perfect.
Very good.
So that meeting is tomorrow. So if that comes up there, I'm gonna be at it. So
their regular P and Z meeting or another one that's
No, it
addressing?
was their regular,
The regular.
the regular one is tomorrow. Same people. Okay. No.
And I believe from a planning and zoning too, they approved the
Yes, the
modification too.
short-term,
Yes,
yes,
they did,
the-
yes.
yes, they did. That was last
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was,
Thursday.
yeah,
We were there.
that's correct.
Yeah. yeah, there was some pushback from one or two of the
There
residents.
was, you know, again, it's kind of what we had talked about. It was they're adding a one level. And it's just gonna make it a little bit more attractive for the restaurant. They moved some buildings around. I think it'll look better
Mhm.
to the, as you're looking at it from where Portland Restaurant was.
Yeah.
The ale house, I guess, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
Absolutely.
PR.
Yes, absolutely. Right, Bob?
I was gonna say the same thing about the planning and zoning meeting. And surprisingly, Capitol still has done nothing. That's it.
Very good. Um, I just have a couple updates. I'll run through those really quickly. The well, we've already talked about. I'll keep everyone posted on the progress as it comes up. It'll be more likely every week or two you'll hear something. But that next big step is on Friday. The River Access Project, as of January 5th, Butler Construction has the ability to start that project. That's their start date right now, weather permitting. I've already reached out to the herpetologist, Dennis Quinn, who would need to be out there to train their crew before they start doing anything. So we have to check that box as well. So that is moving forward. As you can imagine, Lou and Rick are very excited about that. I will be out there that day as well, as usual, taking pictures and getting a rundown, but they have, I believe, 90 days from when they start, up to 120 days to finish that project, but I'm hoping it's done by the springtime.
And this is essentially to put that road in.
The river
down-
access, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So they've cleared it roughly all the way down to the river, but now they've got to build the road, they've got to do that stuff, they need to put the fence up. I know that committee, Rick and Lou are working on getting additional funding to put some park benches on the front end, right on the road on Airline Avenue. So we talked a little bit today, but my gut feeling is that this park will be as used as Route 17 Park is, and probably just as nice, because of the interest we've had from people down there. So I know Rick is already, he's willing to invest up to $10,000 of his own money to match anyone that puts $1 out there. So for every $1 that you donate, he'll match $1 up to 10,000 of his own dollars. I believe he wants to continue that into January. But he's got skin in the game and he wants to get this done as well. So excited about that. The High Street project is done for the season. The only thing they need to do is come back for seeding. They got all the work they needed to do. They exhausted the funds that were allocated to them. That's Birmingham Construction. So the next step on High Street will be next summer, the next phase of the project, of which our board already approved $200,000 of town matching funds to the $1 million that the state gave us for a steep grant. So that project will commence and it'll go out to bid over the next couple of months, but that should be over the summer next year. So that'll be continuation, probably make it down to William Street. So that's looking good. Same thing with springtime on the sidewalks on Main Street. We picked a vendor for that. Because of the weather getting as cold as it did, as quick as it did, they will start when the weather warms up in the springtime. That'll be starting at Walgreens, working its way down to the PD.
Can we see the plans for
Absolutely.
what they plan on
Yep,
the 66 side of Main Street?
100%, 100%. Speaking of Main Street, had a good meeting with DOT last week, and we talked about what we could do on Main Street. A number of things, not only for speed control, possibly doing a road diet where we reduce lanes down, changing how the parking is, changing how the curb cuts are, perhaps putting a traffic camera on the bridge itself coming into town because we've got so much speed coming off the bridge into town. So they were very amenable to all of that. A study was done about 7 or 8 years ago, I think in 2018 or 2019, on what to do with Main Street. That was shelved because of some pushback in town. DOT didn't know where it came from, but evidently at that point, either fire or police were concerned about reducing from 4 lanes to 2 lanes or 4 lanes to 3 in town. So it stopped it. Again, we have a lot more discussion to do about this, but I really want to focus on what we do on Main Street from over the bridge until the post office. That's going to be where our focus is for our activity. traffic, Brownstone School there. If this whole school project goes through, repurposing that building, but getting a lot more foot traffic on Main Street, making it safer for pedestrians across that road. I mean, there's a lot of effort we need to put into making that. So I invite any one of you here that wants to kind of help me with this, get involved in it. There's a variety of projects that are involved in this, but I would love to get feedback from everyone on this. If you want to get involved, I could use the help on that, but we need to spend a lot of time on that. So that one, I'm excited. They realize that we want to make it safer. For example, we probably should have a school warning light in front of biz at least to slow things down. A lot of schools do. DOT can help us with that. If we decide that we want to go the traffic camera route, OSTA in the state supports that in certain streets and certain roads. They do not. I know it's somewhat controversial, but I at least want to have those people heard. So at least we know as a board, what are the options, what's involved in that. The whole purpose of this, again, is safety. I'll give one example before I go to the next one. Middletown, they put their cameras in 8-9 months ago, whenever it was. It seems like a long time, but their number of tickets in the beginning versus what it is now has changed by about 93%. So they've changed the behavior. So no one wants to get a $50 ticket. The only consolation is if they do give you tickets after repeated warnings, know that it goes to the town for safety only. But the better thing is not to speed and don't get the ticket. And it has changed the behavior where those are. So not every road in town needs it, but because our main road, 17, 17A and 66 are all state roads, the state would have to approve it anyways, but I certainly want to examine that. We need to vote as a board on that, but also we need to put it out to a special town meeting and get the public's perspective on that. This will be a very lively discussion, I'm imagining, but I think we need to have it. And whatever the result is, again, the goal is safety. So, and if anyone's watching that has ideas to make it better or wants to get involved, please reach out to me as well. The POCD bar grant we talked about already. The LoCIP projects that we have, the park entrance to our Riverfront Park and Middlesex Avenue, Agalotti Field, that parking area, that's been put off to the spring for the same reason. But that is up, we've already sent it out to the contractor. That just has to be done, I'm guessing by April or May. The spa is moving along quickly. They're already putting up the framing for the building or buildings. So they still plan to open up by next November. It surprises me how quickly they're doing it, how many people are on that site with all the people in the truck. So that continues on. Brainerd Place, the second building right now, I'm guesstimating based on what they said over the last month or two, that they're going to try to get a CO of that in February, March, is my best guess. They are moving quickly along there as well. The one thing I've been impressed with there, though, are the 2 historic buildings. That second one, they've done a great job. They've replaced the windows. It's beautiful. For those that don't know, they're responsible for making the outside of the buildings look good and conform to all the standards. The insides are somewhat flexible because it depends on who's going to rent it or what's going to happen to that or the use of it. Same thing with that third building, the Sage House, which is where the early learning center is going to go. That one will be tackled next, but they've already done some roofing. But I got to hand it to him. I know I know it's a big project. It's very controversial, but he's spending a lot of money getting that up and making it look good. And I'm glad those buildings were kept. I had different feelings about some of the buildings beforehand, but I've come to appreciate those being in that property, making it look a lot better.
What is his time frame for starting the foundations on the last 3 buildings?
I don't know, but I will find out though. I'm supposed to talk to him on Friday,
Okay.
but I will ask him that. I know at the last meeting when he was approved, I believe he said, and I think you were there as well. I think he said it was about a 2-year target to get it completed.
3 years, 3 years.
Was it 3 years? Okay.
Well, his claim was that in 3 years, the thing would
Within
be
3 years,
done,
okay,
everything,
right. So,
what he said.
yep,
We wish.
yeah, yeah, that'd be
As I
nice.
say,
It's-
we have to go back and look at what the targets were that were laid
Right.
out in the last
Absolutely.
modification.
And I know it's,
2029 is the end.
For the end,
Yeah.
right? That's but I think that there was some buildings that were supposed to be online earlier than that, so.
Well, B has to be completed before he can complete A.
Is B the one, the
The
smaller
two
one,
Smaller ones on
Just
the,
right
Just
in
the-
the corner.
the
restaurant?
third tower, yeah.
Oh, so he has to do that one first?
He has to get COs on that before he can get a CO for A.
We wanted to make sure that commercial stuff was
He
coming
got
online.
got all his apartments,
Yeah.
okay.
gotcha. So, anyways, I will keep everyone posted on that. Is anyone interested in having Dan either come to a meeting or do a video feed of one of our meetings coming up. Would anyone want a direct update from him? Any input
I
on
wouldn't
that?
mind, but I think I would suggest maybe giving a little time for all the kinks to come out of
course.
this planning and zoning
Okay.
before he talks to
Fine
us.
with that. I want to make this as interactive as possible where we're getting some real information from the people involved.
Well,
so.
I would think he would want to come back too, because his new addition to the third building is not included in his tax abatement. Because his tax abatement is limited by apartments. So adding a story, that story is not in the tax abatement.
You are correct.
Three more
Yeah,
things,
okay.
business list. About a week or so ago, I put up, we are collecting business information from all the businesses in town. We have a link on our website. We have a QR code that I'm putting out there. I would ask everyone's help at this board. I will send that information to you. Please encourage your friends with businesses in town, big and small, to please sign up so we can include that on our website and support our local businesses, from Verdon and all the big projects down to, the doctor, dentist, whoever we can get. We want to try to get everyone on the list. So please put that out there and help me out on that. I think we're up to only 50 businesses so far, but it's more updated than the list we have. So we're looking to get that updated. New boilers at Brownstone,
By the way, Mike, that's a good thing that for us to also talk to our
EDC.
EDC about,
Can't the
because we need
Secretary of
to get
State
them
give you
engaged.
a list of all registered
Yeah,
businesses in
there should be a
Portland?
list. Well, I was gonna say, we should be able to get a list right from our planning and zoning,
The list,
but
you would think, the plan.
no, I mean, we should. I mean,
But
right,
Secretary of State has the list of all
Secretary of State will have
registered
them.
businesses in Portland.
Yep. And we used to have one maintained. I know that when Mary was there as our economic development coordinator, she had a list of all of that, so
Right.
we could be provided that.
Yeah,
So,
we've looked at the list. It's somewhat outdated because they haven't updated it in a while. But yes, but the goal is to get it updated. So wherever we can find it, we will. We've also in the list in what we have up there now, we've also solicited for information and feedback from the businesses on what we can do, be more business friendly, what works for them, et cetera. So we also want to make it interactive. So we'd love to hear back from them. New boilers, talked to Bob, and it looks like they're gonna put that between Christmas and New Year's. They'll install that. And that
Or
should-
biz,
and for biz, what's that? Yeah, what did I say?
just boilers.
Yeah, yes, yeah, for biz. I assumed everyone knew, so. Reminder to people, when it snows, you have 12 hours to get your sidewalks shoveled if possible. We had a couple of people with this last snowstorm. Give me a call about the road, the sidewalk from Walgreens down to Adams. So just a reminder, please make sure everyone gets it shoveled.
We need reminders too about parking bans, because there
Yes.
was plenty of cars parked in the road this last storm.
But what happens to people that don't shovel their driveway? Because in my
Nothing.
Well,
my thought
well-
process, because I walk all over the place, people just, Main Street, they don't do it.
so we have hangers that we're putting up at the next storm or whatever that Jason did 12 hours to shovel. If someone does not, in our ordinance, we're allowed to go out there and do it ourselves and charge them for the cost of us doing that. I don't think the town's done that in a long time, if ever. I don't know. But if if it's a safety issue, if someone's trying to roll their wheelchair from Walgreens down there and they can't get by because a business on there doesn't do it, they need to be better citizens of town. So we'll ask them nicely, but if we have to do it ourselves, we will recoup the cost that the town's paid and spends for that. So I think that's fair. I don't think anyone can argue about that. Union contract negotiations start tomorrow. Bobby's been kind enough to jump into it again. So we're gonna start with the police and work our way down. I don't know if it's too early to announce yet, but it looks like we found a supervisor for sewer. We interviewed a number of people. We found someone that we felt good about. We made the offer today. He accepted it. We still have to go through the paperwork process and the whole bit, but that fills a spot that's been open now since Jimmy Lynch retired. Kevin has done an amazing job, and Matt, of running that department. If the town of Portland knew that it was just those two that were doing most of the work with backup as needed, they would be impressed as well. But kudos to both of them for what they've done. Having a third person in there is good. He has his class 3 license. He's coming from another smaller unit that is a lot more messy than ours. So this is a step up for him. So he knows how to fix things. He knows how to MacGyver stuff when he needs to, but also
Now,
do
is
it
this
right.
somebody from within the town or elsewhere?
It's not. It's from another town. Out kind of out there in Naugatuck way. but he's moving out
Let's
this way.
not get over our skis if you can, and I'll
Yeah,
get
there you go. There you go. Right. So, but that's good news as well. The one position I have not filled yet is our building official.
Oh, okay.
We have interviewed, over the last 6 weeks. We found a candidate that we liked. Offer was made, wasn't accepted, wasn't in the budget that we have, but significantly far apart. So, we do have two other candidates we're looking at. I have to make a decision, by this Friday or Monday. If they, either one of those is a candidate, I'm hoping to make that decision by then. But that will also fill a gap that we've had for a while. Someone's been in there right now, kind of filling in, taking care of it, but we do want to get that
Is
filled.
this one of those pay scales that we need to look at? Because I know other towns have been looking for that same position, sometimes a year to 2 years. And not our previous one, but the one before that, we lost to Glastonbury overpay.
Right.
Yeah.
I do think we need to look at this, on a number of things as well.
So it's a
So,
very important position. It
It-
runs the planning department.
sure. Well, look at the job Jason's done. He's come back into Public Works, and he's done a really good job managing and taking care of stuff, and it's taking the pressure off of me and Tom and others, to get that done. And Michael complements his efforts really nicely, as does the rest of the team, but it's an important position. So, yeah, so it absolutely should be discussed a little bit more. That's all I have. So
Sure.
no, I have more now. Public comment.
Anything online?
Nothing, okay. So under follow-up items, I've added the
Well,
note.
don't, no, do you skip 12? General information,
yes, we
informal
did.
discussion.
I assume we did some of that, good. Continue.
I think I mentioned this at the last meeting, and I'd kind of like to make a request that when we come back after the first of the year, I recognize that it can't be a lot of us because any number, 4 of us forms a quorum. But we asked during the budget season last year, if some members of this body could be included in a representative fashion, monitoring fashion in some of the budget negotiations. And I'd like to, if we put that on the agenda for the next meeting, I'd like to talk about
Okay.
how that can happen. The item that comes to mind and what started this in my head, we've talked a lot, and I've talked with you, Mike, a lot about the potential for positive development in and around Main Street, Marlborough Street, and Route 66, with Brainerd Place on one corner and the spa on the other corner. And how that can, and that actually, I attended the DOT meeting with you the other day, and that had a lot to do with the conversation too.
Absolutely.
There really is a huge opportunity, I believe, for development of Main Street, from the post office to Dunkin' Donuts and out Marlborough Street. When our brownfield property begins to see some changes, the spa comes in place, Brainerd Place puts their retail on the corner. But we need to have some economic coordination on a really high level, regular basis throughout, because I really think that a lot of opportunities are going to become available, but if we're not there with plans and ideas, we're going to miss those opportunities. And I'm going there because if we are involved, or at least overseeing some of the discussions that are going on within the budget, I think one of the things that we have to talk about is, do we have any funding available for a strategic position like an economic coordinator, whether it's on a part-time basis, a full-time basis? Can we hire someone to come in that could be here on an as-needed basis? But there's so much that can happen on Main Street. Existing businesses and even property owners on Main Street that don't necessarily have a business in that area may have some interest if things begin to roll in town economically. And I don't want to miss the boat on this. I think for a number of reasons, some members of this board need to be involved in some of the budgetary discussions. And that's one of the things I think needs to be seriously considered is a position like that.
You hit it right on the head. I think we've got a golden opportunity as a town to reinvent ourselves.
Mhm.
And that involves looking at it from all angles, economically, traffic wise, infrastructure wise, school wise. I mean, we have a number of things that are up in the air right now. So yes, we do need that. And we need as much involvement from everyone. And that very much should be on our minds as we're looking at the budgets. And what I would encourage everyone to do, I'm looking at it right now in my own budget in terms of where I want to add specific things, you know, in terms of additional people in key positions, projects that we may want to do. So let's look at that as soon as possible. I passed out to everyone, by the way, speaking of that, reminders of our meetings for the budget season. And, you know, we're looking to put this to referendum on May 11th to get it out to town. So between now and then, we've got to come up with a budget, figure it all out, work on this stuff. So it's a very compressed time, and that's actually the same thing.
So
We're trying to get this through
sometime between January and February is the area,
as soon as
is that
possible.
window, and I'm looking to have some folks from this board sitting in on budgetary discussions.
Absolutely. I would encourage that in January. I mean, you're welcome to do that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You guys, I mean, is everybody,
No, I think
I
we've.
don't want to speak for everybody, but.
No,
We've all expressed.
John and I have had long discussions about it, and we were saying how we need someone to actually represent the town and sell the town and know what property is available, you know, or if, you know, what businesses want to come to town, what we have available for them.
Right.
Instead of them just asking around, they should be able to come to town hall and say,
Right.
what do you have? Where can I fit in?
100%.
There are
Yeah, and I
small
think-
towns like ours that have done this.
Yeah.
Essex, I think of, you know, and Centerbrook, Chester,
Chester's done a-
Westbrook.
Mhm.
You know, they're towns similar size to ours where you go down the main street and it's just, it's a draw for people to come in,
But
but
it-
we're at that point.
At the same time, go to planning and zoning or the planning department and ask for the plans or the regulations for the village district. And it's horrible. It is not business friendly.
Right.
It's restrictive.
You don't have to tell me.
It's pretty much, it's anti-business. They're gonna make you jump through 20 hoops for design, color, plants, everything they want to control. That should be the first thing to be adjusted, is the restrictions of what we consider the village district. We made it bigger a few years ago when a business on Main Street wanted to expand and the town didn't like their plan. And they said, oh, well, we don't fall within the business district, so this is what we're doing. Before they could submit their plan officially, the town made the village district bigger and it included them. So now they had to do everything they asked. So what did they do? They bought a bigger business outside of town.
Right.
Instead of making their business here bigger.
Not the kind of business friendly we want to be known for.
No, we've never been known as being business friendly in this town. Never.
That needs to change.
And not to say that, I mean, our history should be a focus, I think. And we should be strategic about it, but we also have to recognize that if we want to grow Main Street with everything that's happening, we have to be reasonable.
Main Street is gonna be a reflection and an overflow of 66. It's gonna be smaller, local, mom and pop establishments that are town oriented. And that's what everybody wants. You want the national, bigger stuff on 66 that's already busy. It's got 4 lanes. It's got all the traffic lights.
Right.
We want the nicer town center, but without the restrictive regulations that people don't want to go there for that.
Somebody that's come to town for a nice weekend where one of the members goes to the spa and the other member goes to the golf course. When they go back and they meet and they were heading out of town, it'd be nice to be able to stop at a shop or stop at a restaurant.
We said though, you will have the perfect destination at one point. The kids go to the quarry in the summertime. One parent goes to the spa, one parent goes to the golf course. And then you're looking for dinner, a hotel to make a weekend out of it. We just don't have the hotel.
Airline trail too.
Yeah, but we know we gotta get now.
Right.
So.
But no, this is all part of it. I just want to keep these wheels turning and not
Let them stall.
let
No.
them stall.
Absolutely. And everyone, please contribute. Everyone's got ideas how to do this.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I have one important thing I wanted to bring. I was gonna have Jason come here tonight, but was in a meeting with USDA a couple days ago regarding our sewer and water system. There is funding available to be able to bring up to speed, up to snuff, our existing system, which needs a lot of work. We've had Wright Pierce evaluate the system and give us an estimate of what needs to get done. I know you're aware of that, not as much, but you will soon. But there's a great deal of work. We've kind of MacGyvered it down there over the years to make it work and function. But it's past its useful life, to say the least, and we need to invest some money in that. So I want to start the process by saying that at the next meeting, I'm going to bring Jason in, probably bring Wright Pierce in. We're going to talk about exactly what's got to get done, but we have an opportunity to secure grants with the USDA that will allow us to get what we need to up to $10 million.
Grants, loans.
Loans, yeah, not grants, loans. They did have grant money, limited grant money, but with everything going on in Washington, that grant money isn't available now. But they are looking to find places like ours that need it, that could use some work, that have some issues that need to be corrected. So we kind of qualify and check all the boxes in terms of someone that will qualify for it. We actually do have a loan that we took out about 20-something years back in 1999. We took $1.5 million loan from them for a project down at our sewer and water plant. I don't know exactly what the project was. I couldn't find any details, but we still owe $200,000. We've been paying on it regular payments over the years. So
I
they
think
already
we're
have
paying the minimum. We're still paying 26 years later.
100% right. Right.
Like a
Right.
bad credit card.
Right, we paid $8 million, right? But so that's in our favor. So we've already have a relationship with them. So we're looking at the list of things that need to get done. Considering we have that needs to get done, given Brainerd Place in the spot and the additional water use and infrastructure that's growing in town, we do need to make that more robust because we haven't done anything with them for a bunch of years. With the school project coming up, people are gonna vote on it May 11th. My gut feeling is that once it's explained, people will understand that it makes sense. I think it's a possibility that we'll have a $37 million, $40 million bond that also is now something the town has to pay for. So these are two big costs, two big projects in the town. But this one in particular is very interesting to me because I see every day what they do to keep that going down there and what's needed. And there is a real serious need, but just wanted to throw that over the
Well,
bow.
I was gonna say, Mike, I think it's good to share that some of the stuff we've talked about, right?
Mhm.
We've talked about the problems with the blower system, which limits being able to run both halves of the plant
Right.
simultaneously.
Mhm.
So that would be one of the upgrades that we would be looking at, that something, this kind of funding could be used to address, right? Right now, the way the pumps are set up, they have one pump that's sort of like Goldilocks, just right. They can run it and half the plant runs fine. But as soon as they try to bring up the larger pump to try to run both sides, it's too strong. And it doesn't allow the plant to operate functionally correctly.
Mhm.
And then I think the other thing we're looking at is some of the other things that are getting end of life are the UV system, which is the last
They
stage.
can't replace.
So we're
pumps.
looking at
Yeah.
things like that before we run into a problem.
Well,
That's being talked about.
That was I have three quick things and it's all for Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is where is our next infrastructure project after High Street? Because we've done Russell Avenue,
Right.
we've done High Street, part of William Street. We should be thinking, where is our next neighborhood or road that we're gonna go after for a grant? Ask him if we should be putting something in capital this year for the sewer plant. Give us the most critical thing and what the prices are on it.
Yep.
And the third one, because I read about it again in the water and sewer minutes, shut off the stormwater that's going in there.
That's the one
Yeah.
that was right here.
We need, and he said it in there,
Mhm.
I haven't gotten permission to move forward to investigate it and find out where
Where
it
does that
is.
permission come from? Does it come from us?
He said from us, from the Board of Selectmen,
Well, we should put that on the
Then let's
agenda for
put that on the
January.
agenda. We need to get
Yeah.
them moving.
Yeah.
because it's just a waste of
We're
money.
talking about
of
doing
treating
work on the
rain-
sewer plant, but doesn't that excess water flowing in have a negative impact on the sewer plant?
Yes.
Yeah,
It does.
absolutely.
You're treating clean water
Right.
Right.
and it's diluting the plant.
Right.
Right.
So
So
double
we
negative.
can fix that.
And it's causing peaks, by the way, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So next
You get a
agenda, we'll
surge with
vote on
rain.
that. I'll tell, in fact, I'll ask.
Well, that'll be the thing. If Jason's here, tell him,
Yeah.
start the process of finding out where the water's coming from. And then we have to figure out how to shut it off.
What I'll do is
And
I'll have
if-
him,
I was gonna ask before, if we want to, the ability to take action, to discuss and take action on that.
Mhm.
If we can get a summary sent out ahead of the meeting so that everybody will be
Yes.
very familiar with exactly what the problem is, and understands what we need to do.
I agree, I agree. We need to look at everything right now and we need to look at the infrastructure especially, so. Got it. All right. That was that. All right, follow-up items? Well, any more informal discussion?
Nope.
All right, none? All right, so I just made one edit to the ethics ordinance. After further review, I'm gonna have our attorney review the existing ethics one. Because we need to update it for social media, AI, and some other considerations. So let me take a first shot at it, and then we will reintroduce it at a later time, probably around the same time as we review the town charter, which will not be until June or July. I want to wait till we get through the budget season and the school project time. So we will hit it then and work on that. So I will.
So are you gonna take, to Bobby's point last time, take it off the
Yes.
agenda?
Yes, I just want to leave it one more time on here. So it's getting removed. I'm gonna remove the review town charter as
I
well.
mean, last time was what, 2009? When it was the ethics ordinance, right?
Well, that's when it was.
Yeah.
It has not been.
I mean, there was no
It has
AI,
not
there was
been
no social
updated.
media, marijuana was illegal.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's been a
There was
very,
no
very long
from-
time since they updated the charter.
mean-
Right.
Well,
It's-
it was a long time.
Yeah.
Just cameras on phones have made confidentiality a real problem.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, and if you get a chance, I mean, I've already gone through and marked up my charter in terms of things I think they should be looked at, but if you haven't done that, it's worth doing. Just read all the way through and highlight what you think makes a difference. It will make it easier, but that is all I have. I know it's a long one tonight, but I think it was worth it. Would like to make
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
and who will?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We are out.